Where do you see the solution here? Because, like you said, there hasn't been a time, at least in modern history, of the parties being at such an impasse at two completely different spots. Where do you find the solution? Because I don't have it in front of me, but there was a poll recently that most voters have little to no faith in the political system today. So, how do we restore that faith?
Well, you won't restore it until after the next election. There'll be no room for compromise between now and the election. People may do temporizing solutions. That is, uh, the Democrats will have to decide if they're better off with a government shutdown or worse off, and the Republicans will have to make the same decision. And if it does shut down, the pressure will begin to build. But you're also seeing huge strikes. Look at the UAW strike against the automakers. You're seeing a lot, and a lot of that. Uh, Joe Biden went out and marched with them, but he caused the problem. They're trying to catch up, not only with inflation, but deal with the fact that all of these companies are losing vast fortunes on electric vehicles. So the companies are moving into an uncertain future. They don't want to make a big commitment, financial commitment, that they don't think they can live up to. In the year before an election, almost nothing ever gets done. Both parties end up posing for their first for the primary and then for the general election. After the election, it'll depend on who is elected, but I think, and I think people haven't recognized. They have recognized that Trump has fundamentally changed the Republican Party. I don't think what they've recognized about Trump is that if he is reelected, he'll be a lame duck from the day he takes office, right? So immediately, people will be trying to position themselves in the Republican Party as the successor to him. And you'll see a new generation of Democrats coming forward because even the Democrats are reluctant to run 90-year-olds.
Do you think that he's permanently, fundamentally changed the Republican Party, or do you envision politics going back to pre-Trump times?
Well, he has unleashed a kind of major populist movement. But it's worth noting that although he won in 2016, his party lost in 2018, he lost and his party lost in 2020, and they did far worse than expected and only carried one house in 2022. So he's lost three elections. Uh, and if he loses a fourth, the Republicans will have to regroup. But you could see in this election for Speaker that we began our podcast by talking about, that Republicans right now are really committed to this populist resurgence. And I think that that actually carries some people on the left with it. Um, they're they're mad, as that song said, about the rich men north of Richmond. Uh, and they don't just mean rich men, they mean powerful people in the government. They're tired of being governed by bureaucrats. They're tired of being governed by people from Bethesda that nobody elected, who are telling farmers in Montana that they can't have a little pond for their cows because it's, quote, in a wetland, and it'll cost you millions of dollars to get all the way to the Supreme Court to overrule that. So people have uh, uh, genuine grievances, and populists have made the most of them. But it's a dangerous moment because a lot of the populist um, sentiments don't seem to take account of traditional constitutional limits to what you can do and should do.
Going back to the speaker conversation, it seems like as of now, there's a little bow on it. A speaker was elected. But within the past 3 weeks, do you think that there has been anything missing from this national conversation?
Everything's been missing from the national conversation because it's been taken up with two issues. One is the speaker's race, and the other was this attack just brutal ISIS-like attack by Hamas on innocent civilians, beheading children. And out of that, what we've seen is just how far left our universities have moved. And let me give you one example. At Brandeis University, which was founded in 1948, same year as the State of Israel, as a non-sectarian Jewish university. It has a lot of non-Jewish students, but an overwhelmingly Jewish population. Their student senate just voted against a resolution to condemn Hamas. Now, I mean, you open your eyes at that, but that's what's happening at campuses all over. And I've met with a lot of donors. I'm just listening to them, who are absolutely furious at what's happened on campus. These are major donors, and the most eloquent one that I heard was one from the University of Pennsylvania. Actually, my brother went there, and he was saying, look, I'm not interested in the fourth revision of the president of Penn's comments on this controversy. I think that the problem is deeper than that, and I think that these universities are just not the kind of places I can support anymore. And I think you're beginning to see a lot of people outside the universities recognizing what's happened on campus, that these protests in favor of Hamas began before any Israel strike back. This was just pro-Hamas.